There was a rash of teams where the narrative, the negative story about their team, their result in Week 14 cemented it. And that's how I've come up with a top 5 list that requires Mike Del Tufo for you to give me some NFL Films music for a little bit of mood, and I greatly appreciate that. Top 5 NFL teams who fueled their haters in Week 14.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Haters.
Fueled their haters.
You know I love haters, TJ.
I don't know how many haters the Tennessee Titans have. Maybe they do have them in Jacksonville. But anybody who looks at that team and thinks all of the Titan fans that talk about tightening up, the boys on their bus and take your heart pills and buckle up, that they're bringing, a hard-hitting style of football your way. Well, they just got hit in the mouth with their own medicine by the Jacksonville Jaguars in a second half in which Derrick Henry gained 2 yards. And that's, by the way, not, a figure of speech. This is a guy who had 100 yards in the first half, and usually that means 200s right around the corner when he's taking on Jacksonville. Didn't happen this time. And anybody who thinks the Titans last year, they were just a 1-seed coach of the year, Mike Vrabel, that they're still just fugazi. That you still, just because you don't have a bunch of their players on your fantasy team from them. Well, the Tennessee Titans got hit in the mouth, and now they have lost 3 in a row. The Tennessee Titans did nothing to stop the narrative that not all that deep down. And the door is open for them to be totally shocked and have a dreadful end of their season. That's number 5 on the list. Number 4 on this list is a team that a lot of folks thought would be choosing in the top 5 of the draft coming into the season. They're still going to probably be picking the top 5 in the draft, but it's using Denver's draft choice.
Yeah, not their own pick.
Not their own. Everyone thought it would be their own pick. I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks. I got to tell you, man, when I saw them in Munich and I saw them bouncing around in their practice that I saw, and I saw the positivity, the vibes were just through the roof. I mean, they were all buying what Pete Carroll was selling, and I'm sure they still are, and Gino was getting MVP talk. And I thought for sure they would not only beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but go into their game in Week 15 on a Thursday night against the San Francisco 49ers with a chance to win the division that night. That's the momentum that they had going into that Munich game. But they lost that Munich game to Tampa and then went on a bye and then lost in the last second against the Las Vegas Raiders team that usually blows a bunch of leads, doesn't come back from them. And then they wound up needing a last-second win to avoid a shocking loss against the Rams, and then the Carolina Panthers just ran all over them. And I know Gino said at one point that he thought there was an offsides penalty. 3 guys he saw going offsides, which is why he threw one up for grabs for a pick. And he's right, but the Seattle Seahawks maybe aren't all that after all, and Gino's not all that after all. That fueled some haters losing to Carolina this week. Number 3 on the list. Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota Vikings have 10 wins. Take a look in the standings. They've given up 1 more point than they've scored this year. Isn't that incredible?
That's outrageous.
They have a negative point differential.
That's outrageous.
They do.
How?
I don't know, man.
Halfway?
Well, I think Dallas beating them 40-3.
Yeah, that didn't
When
help.
you're
That
minus
didn't help.
37 on one particular day, that kind of helps erase what Justin Jefferson might be able to put on the board and so on and so forth. But anybody out there thinking, okay, nice offense you got there, Minnesota. Yeah, Kirk Cousins taking his shirt off on planes, but now he's just assuming a crash position. They still have 10 wins. They're still going to print a playoff ticket. The folks in Minnesota are going to still be doing the skull chant in a home playoff game in January. That's going to happen. But last week's loss in Detroit, where Detroit put up a ton of points on them, and Detroit made the big play at the end of the game with their tackle-eligible in-motion play.
What a play.
Minnesota didn't do themselves any favor, fueled the haters' fire by going ahead and losing in Detroit and not being able to pop their playoff tickets out to their season ticket holders on the spot. Number 2 on this list, or should I say Tua on this list? You see what I did?
Nice. Well done.
The Miami Dolphins.
Oh, boy.
Oh, man, that's 2 clunkers in a row. You could sit here and say, well, San Francisco's winning the division. Well, they also had Brock Purdy thrown in the game. You could say, well, it's Purdy mania, Purd sanity. How about this one? Purdemonium.
Oh.
Going on in Santa Clara.
I'm here for all the Purdy
Thank
puns.
you. Could say all that, but hey, he was coming in a game cold. And then the Chargers without 6 starters on defense. There is a lot to pick apart right now for Miami, and they're going into Buffalo on a short week on a Saturday night where it's going to be like 20 degrees. Miami's going to bring that game. Tyreek better bring all his Kansas City cold weather success with him. So the Dolphins did no favors in fueling and quieting their haters. They just add fuel to the flame that Tua's really not all that, and the Dolphins are imminently beatable. But number one on this list, the number one team that fueled their haters, because there's a legion of them, with their Week 14 result, is, interestingly enough, let me make sure, I just really figured this out, the only team that actually won on this list.
Hey.
His Dallas Cowboys.
Hey.
Fueled the haters. Just when you thought the Cowboys are just putting it all together and just sticking their foot on the throat of the lesser opponents and not playing down to their opponents, those days are over. Those days are over after they turned a 21-19 lead over the Indianapolis Colts on a Sunday night into a 90-19 victory. They came in against Houston and laid a big fat goose egg, and man, did they need Tank Lawrence shooting the gap on that third down play. And yes, TJ Jefferson, they did come up with a 98-yard game-winning drive at the end in order to pull this thing out
to win the game.
And that in the past, this goose egg would have actually led to an L instead of a W.
We would have won this game.
I understand. But
put some respect on
what the hell was that? They had Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll
threw us off,
spinning it all over the place.
Prepare for 2 QBs.
Defensively, they couldn't put pressure on either of them. Davis Mills was slinging it. Jeff Driscoll was rolling out and slinging it. I mean, come on, man. This is the time you're supposed to say, we are going to win this division. We're going to catch the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to prove to everybody that we are the number one team in the NFC. We're going to get that top seed. We're going to run them down, and we are going to show everybody that whatever the hell happened last year in the playoffs is out of our system. And then they needed every last tick on the clock to beat the Houston Texans. What the hell was that?
Get your damn act together.
And that's my top 5 list of the top 5 teams that fueled their haters.
Hated it.
There you go.
Loved it.
I'm fueling my haters. I'm fueling my haters right here.
I mean, if you didn't want us to use up all the time, then make the game 50 minutes. What do you want me to tell you?
No, I understand that the river card can beat you too.
Sure,
in poker.
yeah.
I understand
Get sucked
that
out.
that fifth card counts just as much as the first 3 on the flop.
This is how you
get
know, and I know you hate this, guys, but this is how you know Dallas is varsity. Any other team goes on a 98-yard game-winning drive.
That's false.
And yet we're talking about it in a negative light instead of a positive
You
light.
bring it on yourself.
How? What did I do?
Oh, please. You
You have a
collectively.
grease board.
You have a grease board. You just pulled one out of your orifice.
Well,
out of your
grease board?
orifice.
Actually, nothing's
And
been pulled out of there.
without any
Okay.
shame you're holding up. How about them
Yeah,
Cowboys?
Rich, because my team won, so I'm happy. I can't be happy if my team won a
You
football
can.
game.
You are allowed.
I don't sit here
Congratulations.
every day and go, Dallas is going to win the Super Bowl.
Great win.
Or Dallas is the best team in football.
Barely
all I
won.
say is, you didn't believe in this? God did. That's all I said.
You do refer to them as the varsity, as if the
Yeah,
rest
well,
of the
that
NFL,
might
all
annoy you,
31
and
other
that's
teams
fine.
are junior varsity. Well, that's what you bring it on.
What do you mean to tell me no one in this great earth, that no one else on this planet refers to their team as varsity but me? And if that's the case, I really am special.
By the
world
way,
likes varsity blues.
if the let me put it this way: who does Philadelphia have the rest of the way here? Philadelphia the rest of the way. How about this?
Doesn't matter. They're going to win.
How about this? Perfect example. Home against New Orleans. Perfect example. Perfect example. They pull out a game against New Orleans just like the one you just did against the Houston Texans.
probably lose.
And they have to get 98 yards to pull that out of their Philly orify. There will be people saying, Hurts is the MVP. Is he really the MVP?
I don't
Is he
remember
really?
this
Andy
talk
Dalton almost beat him.
I don't remember
It's
this
gonna
talk
be
when they beat the
same
Colts by 1 point.
thing. It's going to be the same thing.
Look, it's fine.
The same thing.
We got the dub.
To use the Irvin phrase, same intensity. People will not lose that intensity. That's my top 5 list.
Love it.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.